try again. Okay, sorry, I'm going to repeat those measurements because my video stopped recording. So for today's card, we're going to start with 2 pieces of just Jade. This one's going to go 5.5 by 8.5, scoring at 1/2 inch, 4 1/4, and 4 3/4. Your second piece here is going to be 5.5 inches tall and 8 inches wide, and you're putting 1 score mark at 4 1/4. So this is our card front, if you guys can see up close here. I'm using one of our new embossing folders. It's called the Timber 3D embossing folder, and that is hidden inside the new holiday catalog. But you'll be able to order that August 3rd, so don't worry about it. I just really liked the subtlety in the background. Okay, so I will have all these measurements written out in the comments on the YouTube video, so make sure to jot them down if you want to follow along now, but you can also just watch and enjoy. Okay, so these 2 pieces are great, they're good to go, but while we're cutting, let's do a piece of soft seafoam. And this one is going to be 4 1/4 by 5.5. And you do need to put a score mark at the 1/4 inch side on both sides. So in case you've cut this slightly too small or too big, I really like to just do my 1/4 inch line on the side and then flip and do the same instead of eyeballing and maybe doing it at 4, just in case it's a little too small. Okay, so 4 1/4 by 5.5. And if you guys were part of my monthly club, I did give you a different measurement for this one according to the lovely Patty Bennett that I got the inspiration for the diorama idea from. But I just modified her measurements on this piece because I felt that some of us were struggling with a little bit of bowing on the inside here. Okay, so if you jotted my measurements down last Tuesday, just change them to 4 1/4. But it is an amazing design of a card. So she did a great like mermaid rendition and I love it. Okay, and then 1 more or 2 more, I guess, pieces of paper while we're cutting. You'll need a piece of designer series paper, and I just chose a random one from the package. This is 3 inches by 4 inches, and a piece for you to write on the back here. And this guy is going to measure 3.5 by 5 1/4. Okay, so you can put these 2 guys aside for the moment. We're going to concentrate on our work with these pieces here. And we're going to use some dioramas. So if you own the diorama set, I purposely left them on here for you to see this. I took the 3rd and 4th largest sizes. Okay, so not these 2 small ones. This is smallest size. So 1, 2, we need number 3 and number 4. Okay, and that's going from the inside out. These 2 pieces here. So as you can see on my large piece, I've already done 1 die cut because I figured you didn't need to watch me do everything. So on the left-hand side of my paper, I will make sure that I have this 1/2 inch section. And then I've got this nice kind of 2 score lines to the right of me. My little piece is going in the middle of this area, and you just roll it through. You don't have to measure where it is. However, this part is a little trickier. Okay, so I'm going to move these out of the way and show you on my machine how we're going to cut this. And I will just, here we go, that might work better. I will just mention, if you're really nervous about your piece of paper, perhaps moving in the machine, the other option to what I'm showing you is I'm basically just lining up my score lines into each other so that I've kind of got an empty space in here. And I'm just going to rest my little die in the middle and roll it through. if you're really worried, just grab a pencil and lightly trace out the outline of this border. Then when you take this piece away, you'd actually have the border. You can roll it through like that if you want. So I'm going to show you this way though, so make sure you've lined up these score marks here to one another, and the pages will be the same height. Okay, so just rest that on your platform. Grab your little die, and you want to make sure it's roughly in the center of this workspace. Okay, so now carefully put the plate over top and roll it through. So when I take this away, what I'm left with is an extra little middle piece, which we're going to use later, so don't throw it away. And my two pieces, which will nicely shadow one another. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so now we need a little bit of bone foldering. You have three pieces in front of you that we need to just fold on all of the lines. So we'll start with this little guy. I like to use my fingers for things that are this small to start with, and then I will grab my bone folder and give it a nice crisp line. Same on this side here. Now I am going to use a skinny tape that we don't sell just to show you guys where your adhesive goes. You can also use the Tombow liquid glue. That's perfect for these small corners, but I really want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna just put the tape on. It's Su Quang, just skinny little 1/8 inch tape, so that you can see where my adhesive goes on this piece. Okay, so it's burnished, it's got adhesive. We're going to fold those other pieces. Okay, so this piece in front of me, you'll want to make sure that whatever direction your shape is facing, you're going to match the fold on this one. Okay, so this looks great. I'm going to fold this side piece down, and then I'm going to also fold these two the same direction. So what you should have, if you kind of hold it up, is this little book looking thing. Okay, don't attach anything to anything else. But if you want to go ahead and put tape on this left-hand side, you can. Okay, so two pieces folded, and they have their adhesive on. Don't take those off yet. I'm still working on getting this prepped. So this piece here is my cover. I'm going to want to make sure that I have this tiny little unembossed piece. And I forgot to mention, when you're embossing this, you only need to do the larger side, so the 4 1/4 inch side, because that's your front of the card. This piece is just going straight into the back. You don't need to emboss it. If you do, that's totally fine too. It's completely up to you. So just make sure to fold this nicely at the 4 1/4 inch mark, and you will clearly see this doesn't line up. That's perfect, because remember, we did cut off that 1/2 inch. Okay, so don't be alarmed. They're supposed to be different sizes, because this is where the beauty happens. Okay, so I'm going to, you can put these together in whatever order you want, but I'm going to show you the easiest way, just so that you don't lose your spot. Okay, so we're going to start with our two diorama pieces. You can take your adhesives off or apply them right now to these two panels. And we're going to make sure before we attach anything that shape is the same silhouette, because remember, if I was to accidentally have done this upside down, these no longer match. So make sure before you do anything that these are the same shape pattern. And now this is going to be fun to show you on camera. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over. I have my 1/2 inch side facing to my left, okay? And I flipped this guy because, once again, I just want to make sure that it's the same direction as the one below it. So my little panel here on the left should be kind of facing into the back of me. I'm going to line it up with this edge right here, okay? So all the way across that top edge. These two now should be completely flush. And if you were to loosely kind of play with this, you can fold it back, it's fine. You can make sure that you can still just see straight through here, okay? So we've lined this section up now, and that's going to be the start of our little diorama buffer. Now this piece here, so if I'm, sorry, keeping it to the right of me, I am lining it up to the second score mark. So it's going in this empty 1 inch space, but it's getting lined up right to this nice edge. Okay, so you will have to kind of bend it over for the moment, because remember, we're going to kind of play with the diorama feature. But just get that nicely nestled into its spot. You may notice a little bit of bowing here and there, and that's okay. This is a great time for us to do a little bit of bone folder check-ins. Okay, so just go on all of the lines that you would be using and refold that bone folder crease. Okay, bend everything back and forth. This is a card that is going to get moved quite a bit, so we want to make sure that all those lines are nice and stiff. Okay, so that difference in measurement that I gave you does make a big difference in the amount of bowing and excess paper that's hiding in here. Okay, so I took off about 1/8 of an inch more than the prior directions. So here's what I have at the moment. Now it's time to attach these pieces together, okay? So if I was to open this up, on my right-hand side, I should see this diorama section. On my left-hand side, I have just that plain green piece, that almost bookish piece, okay? I'm gonna bring this over, and I'm going to be attaching these two sections together. They will be the exact same measurement. So when you put adhesive all over this blank unembossed part, these two pieces will be perfect for each other. Okay, so let me just do that very slowly for you. Hello, Louise, all the way from the UK, my dear. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I've put adhesive just on the back of this embossed front cover. I find that's the easiest one to work with, and I'm going to put my booklet over top. Okay. So once again, just making sure. You may have moved over a tiny bit, and that's okay, but as long as you can still fold this front cover over, you're golden, okay? It doesn't matter if there's just a slight gap in here, that's okay. As long as when you're looking at this right now, you have a cover that's embossed on your left, blank, empty, boring spot in the middle here, and your diorama section probably moving a little bit, you know, got a little crease in it. It will be sturdy once we attach everything. So now this little gap that I suggested you put adhesive on, we're going to take it and tuck it right here and then fold this front cover up against it. Okay, so I didn't take my tape off because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. So let me show you that once more. Take the adhesive off and just bend it down. At this moment, it's not attached to anything. It's simply giving me that nice square frame look. And I'm just gently now going to bring my cover up and press it against that adhesive. And then you can close this and press really hard to make sure that is securely attached. You're probably going to notice your right again has been popping up. So once more, grab that bone folder, press everything down into place, and probably turn it around and do the same thing on the back. Okay? If you're still feeling like it's kind of fighting you a little bit, just work that bone folder a little bit. The more you press into the paper, the more it's going to get a little bit more malleable for you, okay? So here's what you should have at the moment. You've got this nice little diorama section. You've got a cover that folds over top of this. This mechanism folds back and forth as you open and close the card. Now it's time to decorate a little bit, okay? So that designer series paper I mentioned, you can choose. I have this one here in the first card, so I think I'm going to try some stripes. This was 3 inches by 4 inches. And we're just going to tuck this into this back empty space. If you really feel worried, you could do this first, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's easier just to tuck it in than trying to line it up while things aren't connected. So I'm just going to put adhesive on. I have lots of room to work with, right? So I can definitely get my fingers in there because I can just bend that paper up. I'm just going to find a nice spot that I like this paper sitting in. And it should just, you know, make sure that when the card is open, that you don't see any of the green background. You will probably when you're closing cards and whatnot, but as long as the card is open, you should have a nice cover in the back, and then just close it up so you make sure to attach that all in the back. Now for decorations, okay? So my little sleeping fox here, I decided to cut 3 of the little grass ferns from the Wildcat set. So I have used just Jade, Evening Evergreen, and Soft Sea Foam to decorate the back here. And glue dots will be your best friend because you're just literally tucking these things in the back of your space. So you just want to put a glue dot near the bottom of your fern because we don't want it sticking to the layer behind it. You only want it attaching to the soft seafoam layer in the second case. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here. And that's great. Now I'm going to grab another one. And once again, I don't want anything but the bottom being attached. So I'm just putting a glue dot on the bottom of my little fern so that it attaches to the ground covering. And then I did think the tiger was a lot larger, so I only used 2 of the ferns, but my little fox, he's pretty small, so I did decide to throw in that 3rd color, and that just can rest in the background here. Now, this sleeping fox, you may hate me a little because there's no dye for it. There's no dye for this guy here, but they're so adorable and they're very easy to cut out. There's nothing too complicated, no weird legs that you have to get to. So just cut around him gently from your cardstock or from your designer paper. Pop him up on dimensionals because we want him to stand out. And he just gets nestled right at the bottom of this here. Okay? So super, super cute. But we want something on the front of our card to kind of make it come alive a little. So do you remember those two pieces of our diorama, this and this, that we cut out? Instead of throwing them away, I decided I'm going to layer them up and use them for my little sentiment tag. So they're very funky. You could certainly grab one of our other die cuts, but these were cut for you already. You don't have to do anything else but use your scraps. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to use these. Now on my tiger here, I did like a very kind of bold sentiment. However, I got a little funky with this next one. I never stamp on angles, but we're gonna do it. Okay, so figure out which way you want this facing. It's completely up to you. But on one of the long sides, you're gonna have a wild birthday in Evening Evergreen ink. And then we're gonna put this on our card and build everything on it from there. Okay, so dimensionals for this guy, because he is a huge focal point. And that's going at a slight angle on my card. I know, we're getting wild. This is a very different card. And now to add our last little features. I cut Evening Evergreen and Soft Seafoam for these last pieces. And I just am using glue dots again. So anywhere you want something kind of covering that right side of your tag. And then this guy maybe just slightly over. You can actually even just move this one up. So it's right under the birthday, because your fox will cover the bottom here. There we go. And this little fox, I'm also popping up on dimensionals. I thought he was really playful. Kind of reminds me of my dog Ara when she's ready to play. She'll just kind of like pounce in front of you. It's really cute. And this guy can just go right on the edge here. There. Super cute. Now, if you want something to write on, I have one more piece. We did pre-cut this one already. This was the 3.5 by 5.5 piece. And that's going to be our writing piece on the back of the card. So these little leaves that you see here, they're also from the Wildcat stamp. And I thought the trio just made a perfect little border around my little note card. And, you know, leaves can work for little foxes too. So there we go. Put some adhesive on the back of this. Now, when you are attaching this to your card, you're going to think, oh no, we've cut it too small because it only fits in this back section. We don't want it overlapping with this 1/4 inch panel on the side, because this is how our card pops up and down. If you put a piece of cardstock across the whole thing, your card can't move. Okay? So that's why we've only cut this piece to fit inside that weird little back of the envelope piece. Okay? And this card does fit perfectly in an A2 envelope. And you're ready to send it to somebody who just needs a little cheering up. So I'm really excited. I kind of thought that these shapes could make perfect icebergs for the little penguins too. So if I just change the color scheme to, you know, to use the Misty Moonlight and the Fresh Freesia in there, I thought this would make a really cute penguin card as well. So who knows, maybe those of you who are coming out to Monthly Club, maybe we'll revisit the diorama card and make a winter themed one at some point too. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm so excited to show you some more goodies as they come in and as they're released. So talk to you guys later. Bye.